everyone, and welcome to the HPT. I'm James Larson, alongside Kenneth James, and this week we are here at the Hollywood Casino and Hotel Lawrenceburg. 555 entries. I think they like to play poker around here.
Yeah, and it's filled with amateur players. We have a psychiatrist, a retired dentist, a car dealership owner, a camp director. I mean, this is fantastic. This is what the HPT is all about. A group of amateurs coming together and playing for a title and a whole lot of cash.
Speaking of cash, this field brought in over $500,000 into the prize pool. Your champion tonight will go home with over $119,000 in ice-cold hard cash. Now, we lost 3 players pretty quickly tonight, so with no further ado, let's take a look at the recap. The night began with 9 players, but it didn't take long for the field to be whittled down to the final 6. Early in the day, Joey Hyatt opened with pocket 9s, and Mike Shin decided to make his last stand with ace-queen of diamonds. The flop changed very little, as Mike would still need to pair one of his overs to win the hand. The turn came a 6, and a jack fell on the river, locking up the hand for Joey and sending Mike to the payout table. Mike Shin is an accomplished pro from Chicago, and this 9th place finish padded his career earnings total as he put $10,586 in his pocket for 9th place. Shortly after that, property manager Angel Shade opened ace-jack as the short stack at the table. Ian Richardson in the 9 seat wasted little time before moving all in, only to see George in the 1 seat shove over the top for more. Action folded around to Angel, who made the call, and we had a 3-way all-in. George and Angel both held ace-jack, but it was Ian's pocket 10s that were in the lead. Angel flopped a flush draw, but in the end, the 10s held up for Ian Richardson. George had them both covered, so he would live to see another day. Richardson more than doubled up, and Angel came out on the short end of the stick, going out in 8th place. Not for nothing, she collected $13,233 for her efforts. Not long after that, Doug Songer raised it up with his pocket 10s from late position. Ohio's Donnie Kalb moved all in with ace-10 and put his tournament life at risk. He quickly saw that he was drawing to only 3 outs. Unfortunately for Kalb, the board did not produce one of the remaining aces in the deck, and he was ousted at the hands of Songer. Donnie Kalb graciously shook the hands of his opponents and left the table as the 7th place finisher with $15,879. All right, prize money up top, just over $119,000, all the way down to $18,896. So all 6 players probably in pretty good spirits right now, Kenna.
Absolutely. They're playing for a lot tonight as we look at the chip counts. George and Greg up top with over 40 big blinds effective. Then it's Gary, Doug, and Joey still in the hunt with 4 big blinds.
Blinds, by the way, 50,000, 100,000 with the big blind ante of $100K. Our first hand of the night here at the Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg, just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. And George in the 1 seat looks down at ace-9, as you see, 100,000 for him to make the call. But I feel he's going to raise. It just looks like he's going to raise.
Well, he's got a hand and he's got position. He's in the cutoff, cutting off some of those pale blue chips. He's going to make it 250,000 to go. That's 2.5 times the big blind, or 2.5x as we like to call it. Greg on the button with Jack 9 of clubs, looking to see who's behind him. He wants to defend his button. He doesn't want to just give it away.
Not that much.
Greg, by the way, on a heater just a couple weeks ago. He finished 9th in our St. Louis event. And we'll talk about some of his other HPT event history as we move on here now to Doug, who in the big is going to defend with 8-6.
I didn't hear all of it, so it's going to be pull that gray stack back. So we're going to count this.
A little. He looks like he wanted to make a move and move all in with his 8-6, hoping that George is on a steal from back position. It's not going to happen, though.
And now George will say, I'll take care of it for you. We'll get all the chips in the middle here. And we flip over the cards.
Oh, wow. Look, Doug, a 2-1 underdog here going into the flop. He just decided to take a stand. Ooh.
Comes out 7-4 Trey.
All kind of outs.
All kind of outs, as George says. Absolutely right. A 5 makes him a straight, a 6 or an 8. To the turn we go.
And that turn card is the deuce of diamonds.
Wow, a 5 now would give both players a straight, but Doug would have the higher end of the straight. He needs a 5, a 6, or an 8. To the river we go.
And it's not to be for Doug Songer. He will be eliminated. 6th place, his first HPT tournament, just one by him. But hey, not for nothing, he's going to go home with a nice little payday. That's right, Doug will go home with $18,896. Congratulations to him. And when we come back, your final 5 will battle it out here on the HPT. Welcome back to the Hollywood Casino and Hotel Lawrenceburg. We're right outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. James Larson with you alongside Kenneth James. And what a prize pool this week. Almost $533,000.
Looking at the updated chip counts, George still up top with 70 big blinds. On down to Joey. He's moved up, though. He's got 14 big blinds. He's still in the hunt. He's going to get things going with the ace queen of hearts. Blind still at 50 and 100,000. And now that we're down to 5 players, it's a 50K small blind ante. It reverts. Great structure here on the HPT.
All right, so Joey all in with his ace queen. Action is now folded around to Ian in the small blind. He says, I'm going to make the call with his king 10. And now over to George.
455, Gary.
And George looking to make this call here in the big blind, Ken. Just $355,000. When you got a lot of chips, that's not a huge call to make.
This usually works, though. If I stand up and start walking
You're
away.
like, all right, good playing with you guys.
So, yeah, we think of it sometimes as 400K, but it's really just 4 big blinds. So, multi-way action as we go to the flop.
And it comes out 8-5 deuce. So George pulls ahead here, pairing his deuce.
Yeah, and in these spots, you're really just trying to knock out another player and move up the pay ladder. So I expect it to go check on the turn, and it does. To the river card we go.
Joey goes in the lead with his queen. To the river now is the 8 of spades. So Joey is going to get the much-needed double up.
Triple up, actually. Yeah, because we got that full triple up with both players calling. And he's right back in this.
Joey Hyatt all smiles, the 29-year-old from Cincinnati, Ohio. His plans for the cash? Take a vacation with the girlfriend. That triple up will help his tournament hopes right here on the HPT as we're broadcasting from the Hollywood Casino and Hotel Lawrenceburg. I'm James Larson alongside Kenneth James. All right, action on Ian now. It looks down at 9 deuce.
And the dealer pointing out that
You know what? He deserves it. He jammed ace
the
king
big
on
blind ante reverts to the small blind when we're 5-handed here
You
on
just
the
sit short and
HPT.
just- I'll just double it for every time. Thank God I won some chips for you.
Let it go, Greg.
Well, everybody's smiling. They're joking around. We don't always see this on the HPT. All this table talk. I love it. It's making our job easier.
Right. George going right back at it. 275 now to go with the queen jack of clubs. Joey on the button. Again, you want to defend your blinds. You want to defend your button, your strong positions. But I like defending them with strength, not with weakness, especially when you're on the short stack. But he is going to elect to just call the 275 with the queen 8 of diamonds over to Greg Wood in the small blind with the ace 5 of clubs. What do you think he's going to do here, James?
Well, so far he's made very calculated decisions. Hasn't gotten involved in a whole lot of hands, but looks like he's going to make the call here.
Yeah, I like it. And now this is going to draw Gary in with the jack 10. Get a lot of pot odds, and then he's got the jack 10. He's got a multi-way type of hand.
Feel a little bit left out here.
All right, 4 players going to the flop here at the Hollywood Casino and Hotel Lawrenceburg, and it comes out ace, 6 deuce, couple of hearts.
Yeah, now Greg, I don't blame him checking into 4 players here. He's got a weak ace. He wants to find out where he's at in this hand, see if the pre-flop raiser is going to continue, but he doesn't. I think he wisely checks now over to Joey. He's going to take the free card. All players still in the hand as we go to the turn.
And the turn card is the jack of hearts. So both Gary and George pairing their jack.
Now look at this, Gary. Yeah, he's got a pair, but there's an ace out there. There's possible flush now. It's not going to stop him. He's going to take a stab at this, making it $300,000 to go.
Gary, by the way, a few years ago, final tabled our Belterra event for a 6th place finish.
Wow. And look at this. Now George pairing his jack. He's going to come along.
Boy, this pot is just swelling up right now,
Yeah.
Kenna.
Oh, man. And we still have to hear from Greg, who's got top pair.
Yeah. Who's got the best of it right now?
Right, but, he's not loving it either because he's against 2 opponents, the pre-flop raiser, and he's got a weak kicker, takes a defensive stand, calling.
All right, a pot of over 2.1 million. 3 players remain. We go to the river card.
Ooh.
It's the 5 of spades. So aces up for Greg. He's got the check mark.
Look at this.
Gary.
Gary moving all in. Okay, so what's happened here is Gary's got a marginal hand, just a pair of jacks. But now this pot is so big in relationship to his remaining stack, he decides to represent the flush. You don't turn marginal hands into bluffs too often, but this might be the time to do it. And now the decision on Greg.
I mean, you have flush? I don't think you do.
He's going to follow his instincts and make the call.
And Gary is going to see the bad news, and he is out.
I can't fold that. When I river the 2 pair. Gary, I gave you Bud, but it was really good playing.
All right, well, they shake hands, and Gary Breslauer taking off his microphone. He's going to head to the cage. What a nice little payday. His 5th place finish will earn him $24,348. Not a bad week here on the HPT as we broadcast from the Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg, and we'll be back right after these words. Welcome back to the HPT. We're at the Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg, right outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. James Larson alongside Kenna James, and we are down to our final 4 players.
Taking a look at the chip counts, George and Greg, it's neck and neck, 52 big blinds on down to Joey. He's still in there, 12 big blinds. He's been on the short stack all day, but hanging around he is.
I was thinking of you because
Blinds are 60,000, 120,000. That big blind ante, 60K.
it was a walkout.
Yeah, it reverts at 5 players left. Back down to the small big blind. Great structure here on the HPT. Come out and join us, will you? Maybe you too can be playing for the life-changing cash.
All right, well, Ian wakes up with ace 10 here. You see 120,000 for him to make the call as he's on the button.
Yeah, I like.
He said about 1.4, 1.5.
1.3, not including the blinds.
And he's asking his opponent across the way, how many chips you got over there, mister?
Yeah, he's on a short stack. So I like just moving in here, putting your opponent to a decision for all his chips rather than make some kind of medium raise size. But it looks like that's what Ian's going to do.
Yeah, he's going to raise to 300,000. Action on George now in the 1 seat. He's going to find the fold. And now over to Joey.
Ooh, Joey with the ace-9. Definitely defendable. I expect him to move all in, but he could call, do a stop and go, and meaning no matter what the flop comes, then move in, give himself 2 opportunities to win this hand without going and seeing all 5 cards. Let's see which line he decides to take.
All in.
Well,
Yep.
he's going to raise all in. So now action back to
Can I
Ian.
get the count, please?
And it's going to be about, I think, about 1.1 million. Just a little more than that for Ian to make this call. As you can see, he's ahead. His ace-10 would be going up against Joey's ace-9.
Yeah, I think he's going to realize he's priced into this for sure, especially the range of hands that his opponent's going to shove with.
430,000 is Joey's all in amount.
Now remember, looking at the money, about $15,000 difference between 4th place and 3rd place. But Ian is going to make the call, and Joey's going to see the bad news. He will be behind in the hand.
Yeah, well,
Ace 10, Ace 9.
all right, ace-10, ace-9. Significant favorite for Ian as we
And
go to
look
the
at
flop.
that.
But,
The
man.
9 comes out. 9-5-6. Joey goes in the lead.
Yeah, now it's just flipped. To the turn we go.
It's the 3 of hearts.
And Ian going to need one of the remaining 3 10s to knock Joey out and send him to the rail. Not to be the river card, the harmless 4 diamonds. And Joey's going to stay in this tournament and double up.
Yeah, his second all-in, where he last time tripled up, this time a double up. And he's very much alive in here.
Yeah, but it got
29-year-old from Cincinnati,
I was
Ohio.
just waiting for the 10 to just.
I saw it right away.
Yeah, but then
And that's going to leave Ian on the short stack as we continue action here from the Hollywood Casino and Hotel Lawrenceburg. Want to give a shout out to the entire staff here at the Hollywood. Our first visit.
I had no business
Want to
being
thank
in the tournament.
Rod,
I
Vito,
rivered- I
Paul,
turned
Brad,
straight,
Roger,
didn't see it. I just
and
got
the
up
rest
and
of the
walked away.
team.
Oh,
Thanks
I
for
remember
rolling
that.
out
Yeah,
the
everybody
red
remembers
carpet.
it.
I was there. I saw it first.
I got texted from people at home. They're like, "Do you not know how to play poker?"
Kenna, I
Ding
thought
dong.
they were supposed to be playing against each other. This banter sounds like these guys are best
How the
friends.
heck am I
Well,
gonna
you
lose a
know,
small blind,
everybody
big blind?
guaranteed a lot of money now really playing for the title. Of course, significant pay jumps between 4th and 1st.
And speaking of that title, just over $119,000 plus the $3,500 championship package.
George now on the button. Our chip leader raises to $300,000 with the 5-4 of spades. Joey now in the small blind. This is again one of these hands where he could, if he thinks George is opening wide, really put him to the test and 3-bet here. I prefer 3-betting than flat calling out of position with a king-9. It makes it hard to play post-flop. But it worked for him last time, so he's going to go with the same strategy and make the call.
Yeah, don't forget, though, he's got Greg behind him as well, who looks down at a jack-9. You see $180,000 for him to make the call.
Pot odds are definitely going to draw him into this hand. Reasonable defend. This is a point where a lot of players don't consider squeezing, and I think Greg is thinking about that now. Maybe I could just, 3-bet to like 1.2 million and take the pot right here, but he elects to take the safe road and make the call as we go to the flop 3 ways.
Keep in mind, Greg, with some HPT experience, 4 HPT final tables. They come out all diamonds, ace, queen, 4.
Joey loving this. He's got the nut flush draw now with the king of diamonds.
And both diamonds check over to George, who right now has the best of it, pairing his 4.
He certainly can't
Even
feel
though-
like that,
yeah,
though,
even though
looking
he's
at this
behind.
board. But it's not going to stop him. He's going to leverage his position and the fact that his opponents both check to him. He's going to go ahead and take a stab at it right here, betting $450,000.
Now action over to Joey, as Kenna alluded to, holding that nut diamond in his hand.
Do you just call here, James, or do
I
you
think so,
semi-bluff
but-
and pull the trigger?
He is just going to make the call.
When I mean, pull the trigger, I mean with a big raise, but he looks like he's going to play straight forward, try and make his hand before he bets it. Puts Greg in a tough spot here.
Yeah, it sure does, as he's got the jack of diamonds, but he's smart enough to release his hand. So we go heads up now to the turn of a pot of almost 2 million chips. That turn card is the king of spades. So not the diamond that Joey was looking for, but he pairs his king.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a stranglehold on this pot now. Again, I would go to protect equity. He takes a different line. That's what's great about poker. Players have different lines that they take. And he's going to try and improve his hand or elicit bluffs from his opponent. So I expect him to check one more time.
River card is a blank. It's the 8 of clubs. And Joey is first to act here. He's got the best of it. He's got the check mark. His kings are good. He can't lose unless he folds the hand.
What's interesting, James, is he's taken every opposite action that I would have done at the table. That's what I love about it. But he's sitting there. I'm sitting up here.
I was just going to say, maybe there's a reason you're up here in the broadcast booth.
You got it.
Well, Joey's going to put out a pretty big size bet here, 550,000 chips. And this is going to be tough for George to make the call as those cards go into the muck.
Joey taking home a well-needed pot. He is on the short stack. That's going to go a long way to improving his position.
Well, Kenna talked about it earlier. We would love to have you come see us here on the HPT. People ask me all the time, James, how can I play for the Unreal Cash? Well, it's very simple. Head on over to our website at hptpoker.com. Find a flight and an event that will work for you. And who knows, maybe you'll be on national television, just like these gentlemen playing for that unreal cash. And when we say unreal, a prize pool of over $500,000 this week. This was an $1,100 event. We did 555 people in our inaugural run here at the Hollywood Casino.
Back to the action. Greg Wood peeking down at the pocket kings in the small blind. He elects to just call. He's going to try and trap. You know how I feel about slow playing big pairs. But, sometimes you want to gamble. And Ian just checks it with the 7-6.
Well, and the flop comes out 5-4 deuce. So an open-ender for Ian.
And this is what happens. You draw your opponent into the hand. You give him a chance to beat you, but he's willing to take that risk. A little risk-reward, so to speak. Definitely a favorite.
Oh, wow. And an all-in now for Ian. And Greg is going to quickly make the call. He's going to see that he's ahead, but he'll notice, too, that his opponent open-ended here. High fives the gallery.
You never see that.
Still a lot of cards to
Classic
dodge.
race, Ian.
Yeah.
Classic race.
I think I'm due one.
You take my hand?
I hope you.
I think so, too.
Yeah, look at.
Anytime I'll
Can I
pick
ask
the hand that's ahead. Yeah.
Say, you guys want to flip-flop hands here? Everybody's smiling, but only one person's going to be smiling after the hand. A pot of almost 2 million chips. You see the kings ahead. Let's go to that turn card. Ooh. It is the 7 of diamonds.
A few more outs now.
So what do you need? You need a queen of spades.
7, 6, 3, 8, anything. Any of those ones.
Plenty of outs for Ian here, but the kings.
These guys folded no face card, so.
The kings are in the lead. One card to go, and it's the 10 of clubs. Ooh. So Greg is going to win the hand, and that really is going to do it for Ian. Great sportsmanship here at this final table as everybody shakes hands. And the fourth place finish for Ian, $33,505. He will exit stage left with a nice little payday, and I got a feeling we'll see him again right here on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT. James Larson with you alongside Kenneth James. We're at the Hollywood Casino and Hotel Lawrenceburg. Let's take a look at the chip counts. Only 3 players remain.
Yeah, looking at the chip counts, George still on top with 45 bigs, and it's Greg 29, and Joey in the hunt with 26 big blinds. Boy, this Joey just keeps hanging around, huh? Moving up the pay ladder as he looks down at Jack 8 off on the button. Definitely a raisable hand.
And you see the graphic blinds, 80,000, 160,000 with that 80,000 big blind ante.
Right, and now these black chips worth $100K a piece. The light blue, if you're just joining us, those are $25K, and the gray are $5K. So those are the chip denoms. As Greg Wood, look at him look over at Joey. Really?
And he's going to fold.
My blind?
He's going to fold after that stare down. He's going to get out of the right. So you see Joey raises the 360. Action now on the one seat of George, 200,000 for him to make this call with the unsuited connector.
Right. It's 2 more big blinds. He just peels off 2 chips. He says, let's see a flop.
I like the way you talk in big blinds now instead of the amount. You're talking in big blinds, and I think that's a good thing to do as the flop comes out ace-7-5.
Absolutely. Now, George was second pair, but that ace out there, he's going to go ahead and check, see if Joey is going to c-bet bluff here. No pair, no draw, and he does. Makes it 450,000. Back on George with his second pair. Now this is gut check time. I like at least calling one street, and then reevaluating on the turn. Oh, but he goes for the raise.
Look at that, he's going to raise it to 1.1 million.
And I like this play too because you get definition right here, right now. You put it right back on your opponent. But this could get into a leveling war right here because Joey could go, well, wait a minute. He didn't re-raise me pre-flop, so how could he have a big ace? More likely he has spades or he's out there, with a couple of napkins trying to put it to me. No, he's going to exit stage left, as you say, and opt not to bluff it with no pair, no draw.
So I mentioned you talking in big blinds. Anymore, when people talk strategy, it is always about how many big blinds you have.
Right, because that's what's really affecting the action. You know, the pressure of those blinds in tournament poker really affects what hand you're playing, how often you're playing, etc. So now we look down George with the king 5. He lost that last pot. He's going to leverage his position here on the button.
Sorry, guys. Just kind of trying to see what George looked like. I can't see him with his hat.
Because he's keeping his head down.
You might get a read on the TV. I can't even.
Boy, I tell you, I really like the way he is pulling the psychological edge here, talking to the players, trying to get some information. Joey makes the call with the Jack 10 now over to Greg Wood. He's got the Queen 7 of clubs in the big blind. Most players are just going to call to defend here, but I like the way he takes his time. What he's telling the other players is, I'm leaving all my options open right now. I could 3-bet, I could flat, but he does just flatten, take the flop. Look at this pot, James, 1.3 million as we go to the flop.
Flop comes out 10-5 deuce. So Joey with the best of it, pairing his 10.
So much of poker happens on the flop. Over 70% of the hand is defined on the flop with only 2 cards to come. So Joey, a monster lead here now, looking to leverage that, make a value bet. Ooh, gets a whole stack of those 25K chips. How much is that,
It looks like
James?
550,000 chips is the bet by Joey.
And I expect this to get through, although George, with a pair of 5s, might elect to take a card off.
Greg, he's going to get out of the way. Now action over to George on the button.
It's so strong when a player donk bets into the razor in a multi-way pot. Rarely do they have nothing. So that's one thing George should be considering right now. This would be a long call, in my opinion.
Well, he's reaching for chips now.
Ooh, maybe he's not going to call. Maybe he's going
He
to
could be
raise.
thinking about a raise here.
Oh, that would be disastrous, I think. Oh, he doesn't. He does just make the call.
And again, that pot just getting huge. 2.4 million now in the middle as we move on to the turn card. So far here, Joey with the best of it. And the turn card comes out, the 5 of spades. George is thinking, thank you. Thank myself for making that call.
Oh, this is going to make it tough for Joey because now he's not sure what to do. Usually when the second card on... Oh, he moves all in.
This will be an easy call for George. He'll look down.
Call.
Make sure he has it, and he does.
And there it is. Joey's going to see the bad news.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is right, my friend. You had him until the turn. He grabs his bait, but it's not over yet.
No, he can still win with a 10 on the river, but you can see 5% chance here to stay in this tournament. To the river we go. Not going to happen a 6.
And that is going to do it. George wins the hand.
You won with the 9s. I know you don't. This right now, you will later. Once you won with the 9s, I thought that it was going to be you. I really did. You played great, dude. You played amazing.
He did play great. Kudos to Joey Hyatt from Cincinnati, Ohio. Nice little payday, just over $48,000. And when we come back, Heads Up Poker right here on the HPT as we broadcast from the Hollywood Casino and Hotel Lawrenceburg just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. Welcome back to the HBT. It's now time in the program for Heads Up Poker. We've got George and we've got Greg. Now, both players, Kenna, are amateurs. However, we can't forget, just a couple weeks ago in St. Louis, Greg made a final table, so experience is on his side.
It certainly does help. And George, he's got the chip lead, about 60 big blinds to Greg's 40 big blinds. Both these players outside of poker. How about George, the car dealership owner, and we have Greg. He's the real estate man. Both these guys used to closing the deal. It's going to be interesting to see how their experience plays out on the poker table tonight.
And always customary here on the HPT. Do a little handshake before we start heads up. Look at all that cash on the table, Kenna.
Yeah.
And the trophy. I mean, come on. There's a lot on the line.
Sure is. And these players came to the final table, 1, 2, and there they remain. George and Greg, you see the difference. Only 10 big blinds, 42 to 31. Wow, a lot on the line. I love heads-up play, and it's all going to start here on the button with George with the queen 4.
Now, look, blinds 100,000, 200,000 with 100K big blind ante.
He peels off some of those black 100K chips, and it's important to start off with, momentum, and I think this is why he's raising with the queen 4. You want to get things going. He makes it 500,000, put it right on his opponent, but Greg's not going anywhere.
It's 500K, is that right? Yes.
He's got the king 10 of diamonds, weighing his options. See, he's got great table demeanor, really a strong poker face, really gives a lot of consideration to his actions before he takes it. I like it.
And the flop comes out king, jack, 5, so Greg with the best of it.
Yeah, and customary to check to the raiser, as he does here. You elicit bluffs, c-bet bluffs, and you maximize value and minimize loss, so that's what he does here. I expect him to just call here.
The bet?
4 or 5?
Bet 475,000.
Yep. And look, he's acting, really kind of lighthearted, but there's a lot on the line.
And now his opponent catching up a little bit here, pairing his 4, but Greg's still in the lead. He's going to check it over to George. Now both players check. As we go to the river card, it's the 7 of spades.
Now it's interesting. I think Greg should lead for a value bet.
1.6 million?
Wow, a heavy value bet.
I like it.
1.6. So I think he's going opposite, trying to make his opponent think he's got a hand like queen 10, and he's overbetting to make it look like he's weaker than he actually is. And wow, he's gonna get called with bottom pair by his opponent. It looks like he's gonna get paid off here. This Greg is a very psychological player. Gets into the minds of his opponents, and he really.
I don't got much.
See, he really gets into it, and he does. He gets the call.
Do you really?
He does make the call.
I called you really, really light.
I know you did. I could tell by just the way you were acting.
Like super light.
like ace 7 or no, ace 9 or something.
A little bit better than that. He's got a pair.
He did have a pair. So Greg wins our first hand here of heads up. Now, Greg, his resume speaks for itself. Over 100,000 in lifetime earnings, 4 HPT final tables. Wow. Most recently, Kenna, just a couple of weeks, finishes 9th in St. Louis. So back here now, trying to close it out to win his first HPT title.
Now here he's got the 9-4. Now you're going to play 90% of the hands you're dealt in heads up. You're just not going to have a lot of great starting hands. But this is one I might consider throwing away. The 9-4, 9-3, 7-2, 7-3, 8 deuce. But he elects to play it, keep the pressure on his opponent. He does have position. He makes it 450,000 to go. Back to George. This is definitely defendable versus a button raise. He calls with the king 5 of clubs, and we'll see a flop.
And the flop comes out jack 9-6.
Now this is beautiful. Greg with second pair checks it right back.
Turn card is the 5 of spades. Greg still in the lead with his 9s.
Yeah, now George has made a pair, so this is probably going to go bet call. And I just love the way that Greg is managing pot sizes here and his bets. He knows where he's at in the hand at all times. This is just fun to watch. Maybe not so much if you're George, if you're on the receiving end, as he's calling again with the worst hand here, putting chips into this pot, but still a river card to come.
And the river card is the jack of hearts.
Now, this is going to lock it up for Greg. Greg's going to know that my opponent would have bet top pair, so I expect he knows his opponent doesn't have a jack, so he's going to go for value, $1.2 million. And I expect he's going to get looked up again because, his opponent here, George, doesn't think that he has a jack either. He's definitely bluff catching. It didn't work on it for him last time. Will it work for him this time? No.
Just the second hand here.
Jack maybe.
See?
heads
Yeah,
up.
that's exactly what I was saying.
Jeez.
Thinking that,
I have a 9.
and George is going to put his cards in the muck. Greg
Yep.
says, I have a 9, and that is going to do it.
Whew.
He wins
Man.
number 2.
You have a 5, right? I knew you turned a 5, and when I bet it, it's like doesn't make sense that I bet a 5, right?
So
And you have a
hard
5.
when your opponent knows what you have,
board
right?
knows, and I was
I
like,
mean, that
okay.
table is tilting a little bit toward Greg Wood, and that money is getting closer to him.
All right, folks, time for us to step aside for a quick commercial break. But when we come back, more heads-up action right here on the HPT. Welcome back to the Hollywood Casino and Hotel Lawrenceburg. We're just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. James Larson with you alongside Ken and James. This is the HPT. Heads-up action continues. 2 players left. Hard to believe. This first event here
I told you I'm
at this
really
property,
dumb.
555 entries, and now we are down.
I'm like the
our
smartest dumb guy
final
you'll
2.
ever meet.
Who's he talking about? I think he's talking
no,
about
still
himself.
got
The smartest dumb guy? I don't know about that.
I'm looking around. I thought, maybe I have time.
This guy, this
no
guy,
time,
Greg,
bud. You have to get
he
right
could
back
be a
in there.
commentator.
He's
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty shrewd.
Looks down at 6-4 on the button, 100,000 for him to make the call. He's won our first 2 hands of heads up. He's going to raise it, and now George has a baby pair here, pocket 4s.
Yeah, this is a big hand heads up.
Huge
Anytime
hand.
you get a pair. Just electing whether to flat and hopefully go for set value or to take the lead in the hand.
And then it looks like he's just going to make the call. And we go to the flop, comes out Jack 8 deuce.
Yeah, that's the problem with not re-raising and taking the lead. You're going to flop overcards a lot of the time.
Both players check. We go to the turn. It's another deuce, this time the deuce of spades.
Now George checks it a second time. I don't like that. I like, taking a stab rather than just giving up position all the time. And eventually a player like Greg is going to take a stab for it. He's saying, listen, if you don't want it, I'll take it.
Right.
And that's exactly what happens. And wow, he is on a roll.
He is 3 for 3 here in this heads-up match so far.
Call him Butter because he's on a roll.
I can give you 300? Sounds like a great idea.
Looking at the chip counts. Greg now, the chip leader with 52 bigs. George, he's on fumes. Only 7 big blinds, but he's still in it.
Want to give a shout-out to the entire staff here at the Hollywood Lawrenceburg. Rod, Vito, Paul, Brad, Roger, and the rest of the team. Thanks for having us. And what a great prize pool, over $500,000. And right now, second place, 73.5. First place, just over 119,000.
George, all in now. He said, I've had enough of it.
I get a count, please.
Yeah, George just said, I've had enough. I've lost the first 3.
A Queen 7 is the average hand dealt, right? And he's got Queen 4 just
You win,
under,
George. Good hand,
the average. But Greg
Nice hand,
wants
sir.
to make him sweat a little bit before he gives it up.
Well, George got one, so he wins the blinds and the antes there. And if you look out in the audience here, we've got a past HPT champion who's on the rail for Greg, and I'm talking about Bill Byrne, who won just a few weeks ago.
That's right,
He's in our
yeah.
studio audience, cheering on his buddy Greg, hoping he can take down this HPT title.
Now, a lot of players are just going to sling these cards into the muck, the 9 deuce. But Greg, he's got such a mountain of a chip lead, and he has table position. So he's going to constantly put pressure on the short stack, raise it here, and put it right on George again with the Queen 6. See if George moves in this time. A little bit.
All in?
He does. Nice. Nice play. Look at this, George. He's fighting. He says, you want this title? You're going to have to earn it. I'm not just going to lay down to you. The long blink by Greg. I don't imagine he's...
Is it the Jack 8?
Do you have Jack 8? Look, he's close. Man, this guy. He's into the head of his opponent.
Yeah, he's close, but he's no Nostradamus. Time for us to step aside for a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more heads-up action right here on the HPT. Welcome back to the Hollywood Casino and Hotel Lawrenceburg. I'm James Larson alongside Ken and James. This is the HPT. Heads Up continues. Started with 555 players. Down to our final two. Look at those blinds, Kenna. They're awfully high, wouldn't you say?
Look at that cash.
Woo!
And the title. Greg is sniffing it, man. He's got stacks and stacks of those black 100K chips. Blue, 25K.
All in?
All in.
He says all in. George wakes up with King Jack. He's got to make the call here, and he's going to be ahead.
Yeah.
He does just that. So we'll flip over the cards. If Greg can improve, he'll be our newest HPT champion. But right now, George looking to double up.
So happy if I win
Yeah.
with the 5 and
George
7.
go with the Kenna James. Seems a little concerned.
Either way, buddy.
Yeah.
It's been really fun.
Definitely, man,
You know,
for sure, for sure.
I like it. I
Yeah.
love the sportsmanship. These guys are.
classic race, George.
Yeah. You're live. You're way too live.
Everybody's smiling.
Way
They're
too
having
live.
fun. The cash is on
I'm
the
sorry I
table.
didn't have Jack 10 there for you, or King 10 or something.
Either way, both players going home with a huge payday.
PLO player has middling.
To the
cards.
flop we go, and it comes out 6-5 deuce. So Greg
Yeah.
goes ahead in the hand.
Now it's like 5s versus King Jack.
Everything going Greg's way.
So diamond.
To the turn we go.
It's the 4 of hearts.
Everything getting better for Greg.
It really is.
I can't believe it.
One card to go. George needs to
Can't believe it.
improve,
It's crazy.
or he will be eliminated.
Come on, find that. Find it.
Let's go to the river card. It's the deuce of clubs. And that is going to do it.
Played well.
Greg is our newest HPT champion, going home with just over
man, that was awesome. Hi, Nicole.
$119,000.
Hi, Mackenzie, Aiden, Kaylin, all my family.
That's great.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it.
How you doing?
Fantastic
Yeah, I had to win.
champion in Greg Wood. But going out in second place, a tournament well played by George Jansen. He takes home $73,573.
But Ken, in poker, there can only be one champion. It's that man right there, Greg Wood from St. Charles, Missouri. Just over $119,000 in ice-cold hard cash. Once again, congratulations to Greg, our newest HPT champion. But how about George? Comes into this thing, just $15,000, a little over that in career earnings. Gonna go home with almost $74,000.
Yeah, that should put a little salve in the wound of being the bridesmaid. And it's so tough to navigate 554 players and just one remains and you come up short. But man, you really played well, George. Fantastic tournament. Well done.
And let's see what George has to say. He's joined with our tournament director, Jeremy Smith.
Hello, everyone. I'm here with our second place finisher, George Jansen. Now, George started the day as a chip leader today. Battled back and forth. Got Greg heads up. Tell me about that last hand.
You know, I was short. I had no choice. I had to pretty much shove with anything queen high or bigger there for a bit. Got it in good. Wish we could have doubled up, kept playing. But Greg played really, really good. Played with him day 2 and played for quite a while. And it was a good time. Anytime you get this far in a tournament, you got to just enjoy it and take it for what it is, because it doesn't happen very often.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. And once again, congratulations to George. A very nice finish indeed. Looking at our final payouts here, everybody very happy. And when you've got a prize pool of almost $533,000, those are the kind of numbers you can expect to see right here on the HPT. But atop that list, our newest HPT champion, Greg Wood, taking home just over $119,000. He's joined with our tournament director, Jeremy Smith.
So everyone, I'm here with our new HPT champion, Greg. Now, Greg, you started the day second in chips. Tell me about that last hand there.
Like George said, he got short, and I was just ripping it on him every chance I could, and he just had to go with whatever, hand he could come up with. And obviously, he has King Jack there, and I got the 5-7 of hearts, so classic race, and I hit a 5.
Over $100,000 in cash. What's your plans for the money?
I mean, besides going to Costco like Keith is, yeah. So I'd probably take the kids to Europe. We've been talking about doing that, and just, I guess we're coming to Columbus or wherever the next stop is and chase us around a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, good luck.
Thanks, bud.
Nice job. Our new HPT champion, Greg Wood. Back to you guys.
Our champion, Greg, is all smiles, and I'd be smiling too. A very nice six-figure payday, and we can't forget his second HPT final table in a row.
Yeah, this time taking it all the way and takes home the championship, taking the family on a European vacation. I love the way this guy navigated this field. He played his marginal spots, you know, those hands where he's in front of some hands and behind others like a true champion. I think that real estate job is in jeopardy.
All right, it's been a great week here on the HPT. Want to thank the entire staff here from the Hollywood Casino and Hotel Lawrenceburg. Now, if you're watching this show and you think you have what it takes to play right here on the national stage, why not give it a shot? Check out our website at hptpoker.com, and maybe you'll be playing for the life-changing cash. For Kenneth James, I'm James Larson, and we'll see you next time right here on the HPT.